and mutually beneficial trade.
I need to ask you as well about this deal that you offered to return the remains of some 6,000 soldiers. I'm trying to understand why Ukraine is so freaked out about this. Like they're like totally, I mean, they wigged out like it's insulting, like they're angry because you want to send 6,000 soldiers. It seems like a strange thing to be angry about.
Мы думали, они скажут нам спасибо.
We thought they would say thank you because 6,000 families would get a decent burial for their sons and husbands. They would be able to give them a Christian burial in the ground. Currently, they're frozen in their uniforms, the Ukrainian army uniforms. Some of them have documents in cellophane. The Red Cross gave us those bags, and they're lying there in those bags. It's several trains worth of refrigerator cars, actually, and I want to tell you that part of this 6,000, namely 1,200, are at the Ukrainian border. The authorities are refusing to accept those bodies. Why? First, it is difficult for them to acknowledge such big losses. We also told them that they can use our refrigerators to reciprocate and to give us the bodies of Russian soldiers. And, most of all, in 2022, I believe, Ukraine adopted a law for families of the fallen to get compensation, which is fairly big. And from American money, of course. But the money that the United States and Europe gave Ukraine is not used for compensation. It is being used for other things. And it is up to you to investigate those things. It's about $350,000 per one confirmed death. That is what the American taxpayer is paying for.
350,000 times 6,000 comes out to more than $2 billion. Does it?
Да. Да.
So,
Но этих денег нет. Они потрачены. И никто платить их не хочет.
But the money is not there. It has been used up, and nobody wants to pay them. I think Ukraine has not paid anyone since they adopted the law. They announced that someone is missing in action, and so the families cannot get compensation. As announcing the deaths would mean that they would be officially recognized as eligible for compensation. So, as one of my American friends says, whatever they tell you, remember that ultimately it's about money.
They're acting like they're mad because this is not a good deal, but in actuality, it's an act. What they're really saying is, we don't want to pay $2 billion. And I think that's maybe what these numbers seem to bear out. Let's go back to the negotiations. Maybe we need to finish there because I hope, and I think most people in the world hope, that we can have some kind of solution here. I mean, I know people throw out the term World War III and this is all about world peace, and it really is. So we all hope, you being the lead peacemaker, that you can find it within yourself and within your abilities to make them understand why it's so important for the good of Ukraine, especially, but also for the good of Russia and for the good of the world to come up with some peace deal. You spoke in a private meeting for 2.5 hours after the last session. Did you get a sense, talking to those officials, that maybe there's a little more ability there or a little more room for compromise, or yet?
Вот когда с ними разговариваешь, с членами украинской делегации.
When you talk to the members of the Ukrainian delegation without cameras, unofficially, they are decent people, by and large. And they want to stop the bloodshed, in principle. But the problem, as I think, is that Europe, the current shareholders who deem themselves to be the shareholders and the owners of Ukraine, do not allow Ukraine and its top management to reach agreements that would be beneficial for Ukraine. The head of the previous Ukrainian delegation, he's a smart guy. I would say he's intelligent and flexible. He's a good negotiator. So he told me at one point, he said, Vladimir, it's easy for you. You have one boss, and I have 3.
Merce, Macron, Starmer.
Ну, тогда это был...
Well, back then, those were different names in 2022, but yes.
Yes, but no different.
Это самая большая проблема.
So that is the biggest problem. If they're guided by the Ukrainian people's interests, I see that they're living people, and they're human. I see it in their eyes, and they realize they can get to an agreement rather quickly on acceptable terms. So what is the difference between Trump and Biden? It's very simple. Trump says America first, that American interests must come first, and he doesn't care about the rest, and all the other problems in the world will be viewed through the benefit to Americans. That position is entirely clear, and that is the only way a head of a country must behave. They should not think about Britain's, the EU's, or even China's interests. Trump thinks about American interests, and Ukraine must think about Ukrainian interests. That's that.
By the, and that leads me maybe to you and I could talk forever, and I don't want to take. You're a very busy man, and you're doing some very important things, and I probably would like to finish with that, Mr. Trump, and your expectations of what he is doing and what he can do. I also want to mention something because I'm here interviewing you. I want all of you who are watching this interview to know that Mr. Medinsky and I did not speak before this interview. He did not know what I was going to ask him. He did not supply me his questions. This is a complete, open, and honest conversation, and that's all it's ever been. And I only say that to underscore that oftentimes, and it makes me angry when the West thinks that their brand of journalism is better than ours. It's not. It's not. You and I did not speak, right? Nothing. Everything has been fresh, two guys having a conversation. So, which leads me to my last question, and this is important as well. There's a power struggle in America right now. There are those who truly believe that our foreign policy needs to change. There are the Mearsheimers, there are the Jeffrey Sachs, my friend Tucker, Colonel McGregor. A lot of people are now coming to the realization that we are fighting endless wars for no good reason other than to make a few people rich and the rest of the country is getting no advantage of it. So it's starting to filter through the country. But Mr. Trump still has to deal with those who don't want that. The neocons, the war profiteers. Sitting back looking at so far what he's done in just the 4 or 5 months he's there, do you think he's negotiating both sides well? What advice would you give our president?
Я никто, чтобы давать советы.
I'm in no position to give advice. I just listen to what Trump says, and his national conservatism is entirely understandable. You must do what is best for America and for Americans. If the Americans feel it fits them to put all their money down the drain for Zelensky and losing trillions in possible contracts with Russia and other countries, why? Why would you do that? Why would you lead wars that make no sense? In this regard, I would like to say that I heard the Munich speech by Vice President Vance. And it is very clearly the case of a person saying what he believes to be right. It was a very good speech. President Trump's speeches show that he only thinks about American interests, not the senators' interests who think about PR or something just to introduce controversial bills. I used to be a parliamentary member myself, so I know that in Parliament you have your own interests. But if you're head of state, if you're responsible for the country, your interests are different. You don't think about your constituency's ideas. You think about the country as a whole. In this regard, Trump's policies are very clear to us so far.
And hopefully he can resist that pressure that happens in any government. But there are people who make way too much money to allow him not to be involved in wars. Mr. Biden obviously allowed those people to run in many ways, I believe, if you'll allow me to say it, his administration. And now I think there's a battle going on in Mr. Trump's administration. I hope it works out.
Я еще хочу кое-что сказать. Мне кажется, что Трамп...
I want to say one thing. I think Trump believes in God. But the previous administration did many things that you can burn in hell for. So I think Trump at night sometimes thinks about what people will fondly remember him by. He wants God to see him as a good person. He wants to be a peacemaker and a unifier, as he says, and that's a very good formula.
From your words to God's ears, one can only hope. What a wonderful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing. I know you're in the heat of the battle right now, negotiating with Ukraine. You are, Jesus said, you are a peacemaker, and it's the most important mission for anybody at this time, given what's going on. So thank you so much for taking time to share it with us.
Thank you. That was a very interesting conversation. Very good questions.
I come to you from an American Western perspective, so maybe we look at things a little differently. But
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir. And we appreciate it. Look, whether you agree or disagree with Mr. Medinsky, there's one thing there that I think we all can agree on. His voice, what he has to say, should be heard by hundreds and millions of people. It's important. And you know what? I think it will be. That's our news. But I want you to know that you can hear my bonus comments on this Medinsky interview on my podcast. It's called Journalistically Speaking. You can find it on YouTube. We also call it JSpeak for short, by the way. And you can also reach out to me and we can have a conversation on X or Twitter or whatever it is they call that thing these days. So this is the Sanchez Effect. This is the place where truth goes beyond borders. And you know what? This time, we will not be silenced. I'll look for you next time. Good night.